Many moons ago, I made a video on a wrestling game known as TNA Impact.
I bet you watch TNA, don't you?
Now I will admit, for only being 4 years old, the video has aged rather poorly, but despite the fact you can barely hear me over the royalty-free Kevin MacLeod music, that video achieved a lot. It was my first video to hit over 100,000 views, it helped grow my channel exponentially, and most importantly, Scott Steiner math.
The numbers don't lie!
Also, to be completely honest, I was way too harsh on this game.
The truth shall set you free!
Sure, it was a little rough around the edges, but this was TNA's first ever video game, and it was going up against an absolute juggernaut in the SmackDown vs. Raw series. The game needed to be something different, fans were begging for a change, and TNA Impact was exactly what they needed. Which, you know, makes this title kind of a lie. But come on now. It brought back a much more chaotic style of gameplay that we hadn't seen in wrestling games since the likes of Here Comes the Pain and Day of Reckoning. Its story, while being filled with random career wrestlers, had an interesting narrative, and it would ultimately lead to the birth of WWE All-Stars, one of the best wrestling games made in like the last 15 years, alongside the likes of 5-Star Wrestling and Sumatori Dreams.
Oh no!
However, since TNA Impact, there hasn't been another mainstream wrestling game that isn't associated with WWE. Well, besides Fire Pro, but I've never played it, so That was until November 2020, when a little company known as AEW announced they were working on their very own game. But before we get into that, I should probably give a little bit of background on AEW. AEW, or better known as All Elite Wrestling, is probably the second biggest wrestling company in the entire world, which essentially spawned because of one tweet from Dave Meltzer saying that another promotion called Ring of Honor could not sell 10,000 tickets for an event. Cody Rhodes then tweeted saying "I bet," which led to All Out, an event that sold out in 30 minutes. That then led to the creation of AEW, which was announced on Being the Elite, the Unboxed YouTube show. Then Double or Nothing happened, the weekly show AEW Dynamite started, they quickly signed a ton of former WWE guys, they went to war with NXT, then Cody ended racism, Arn Anderson admitted to murder on live TV,
I'll pull out the Glock, put it on his forehead!
their CEO Tony Khan would not stop tweeting, and after 7 years they brought back CM Punk.
Empty-headed, fucking dumb fuck.
Anyway, when it comes to this game, I think it's safe to say that people were pretty hyped. Bear in mind, this game was announced in 2020, with the last two wrestling games being WWE Battlegrounds and WWE 2K20, which for anyone who isn't aware, nearly caused 2K to go bankrupt. The games had not only gotten formulaic, they had gotten worse, so this new, mysterious AEW game was a much-needed breath of fresh air.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Not to mention that the game's developers was announced to be Yuke's, whose portfolio includes some of the best wrestling games ever made. Big video game nerd Kenny Omega was also set to play a large part in bringing this game to life, and Tony Khan reportedly invested an 8-figure amount into their games division, meaning their budget must have been around $10 million. Clearly this game was in good hands, and throughout the next 2 years we'd slowly start seeing actual gameplay, as well as Tony Khan announcing that the game would be called Fight Forever.
My life was in danger.
Bear in mind, the game's initial announcement happened in late 2020. Now it was 2022, and we still didn't really know a lot about this game besides its name and the cover. Well, before they had to change it for, reasons. All we had really seen was short snippets of gameplay, but other than that, it was pretty much radio silence, until November 2022 when an official gameplay trailer finally dropped, showcasing that Fight Forever clearly took heavy influence from older wrestling games like No Mercy, as well as introducing new features like a lights out match where you can use thumbtacks. Now Omega said in interviews that the game had a tentative release date for late 2022, and the trailer also said it was coming soon, so fans eagerly waited for the game to hit the shelves any day now. Unfortunately, it turns out they were waiting for another 6 months, as Fight Forever wouldn't arrive until June 2023. In between all that time, AEW gradually started revealing different members of the game's roster to appease their starving fans, which, received mixed reactions. Anyway, after around 3 years in development and Tony Khan shoveling an ungodly amount of money into it, AEW Fight Forever was finally released on June 29th, 2023. And once people got their hands on it, something became very apparent straight away. You can commit murder in this game. But first, ad time. Fun fact, according to doctors, the best time to go to bed is around 10 PM. So if you're like me and stay up until 5 AM watching educational YouTube videos, then it's more than likely you're not getting enough sleep. Not to mention waking up early becomes a slight issue. But do not fear, my sleep-deprived friends, because Manta Sleep has got you covered. Manta Sleep offers the best sleep masks in the entire world. Simply just put this comfy bad boy on and you'll be dreaming in no time. But if you're looking for something a little more specific, well, Manta have a variety of masks to choose from. You've got the Manta Sleep Mask Pro, which is 100% blackout, offering you a much deeper sleep.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
Then there's the Manticore mask, which keeps you nice and chilled while you get well rested. Or you have my personal favourite, the Manta Sleep Mask Sound, which comes with thin built-in Bluetooth earbuds so that you can drift off listening to calming music. Just visit mantasleep.com or click the link in the description and use code AlexWebb to get 10% off your order so that you can improve your sleep and no longer rely on Monster Energy to keep you awake. As I said, Fight Forever feels like a distant relative of games like No Mercy, WCW vs NWO World Tour, and Virtual Pro Wrestling. It's definitely a much more arcadey style game in comparison to WWE's almost simulation-like approach, and this became a strong part of AEW's marketing. Personally though, I think they should have promoted more that you can control the pyro each wrestler gets to make their entrances feel more dynamic. Or you can do what I did and just mash your controller to set everything off. In terms of Fight Forever's actual gameplay, it's pretty obvious that this is where Yuke shines, doing their best to make every move look like it could evict your soul from your body. Matches are insanely fast because each wrestler plays like they've just woken up and taken an entire month's worth of Adderall. Like you can do all kinds of brutal things to these guys and then 2 nanoseconds later they'll have risen from the grave with a full finisher bar. The game keeps you on your toes to say the least, and as a result there's never a dull moment, especially considering all the dumb stuff you can do, from diving around the ring like a fucking maniac to then slamming someone into a bed of thumbtacks. Wow, what a good night's sleep you'll get. Speaking of which, there's a huge amount of weapons in this game that you can use to make the ring look like a very bloody abstract painting. You've got your basic stuff like chairs, candlesticks, sledgehammers, and of course tables you can launch people through.
Oh no! Our table! It's broken!
But then you have more interesting ones like a skateboard you can actually ride on, a bottle of champagne you can throw at someone's head, a stylish new boot with thumbtacks glued to the bottom, and there's also explosives. All these weapons can be found in a lights out match where you can pull most of them out of the crowds. Although who's bringing the bottle of champagne and explosives to a wrestling show? The weapons make matches so much more fun, and combined with some unique environmental attacks like breaking the Titatron,
I'm gonna tell y'all exactly what needs to be done to fix this problem.
Fight Forever is clearly at its best when you can simply grab something and then use it to inflict brain damage. The thing is though, while this game is undeniably fun, once you get bored of playing random matches and look for something else to do, you'll quickly realise that this is where Fight Forever falls apart. Sure, the gameplay is pretty good and you get a lovely little star rating afterwards, but other than that, there's just nothing to do.
I just know what's I know what's coming, and it's not gonna be fun.
The story mode here, Road to Elite, is not good.
I'm coming for you, boy. I'm coming hard.
Like, it starts off with you getting signed to AEW via a voice note from Tony Khan.
I have a lot more fucking money than Jim Crockett did. And I'm serious, I'm not gonna sit back and take this fucking shit.
And then just evolves into you playing through a mediocre storyline which ends at the next pay-per-view. Then rinse and repeat 3 more times and you're done in like 2 hours. There's just nothing of substance to this mode, and the storylines are unbelievably basic. I mean, it really feels like the writers didn't really put much effort into anything here. Unlike Jim Ross's voice acting.
It's Saturday night, and you know what that means. All Elite Wrestling full gear.
In addition to this, throughout Road to Elite, you travel to different cities each week before your match, and while you're there you can do a few things like go out to eat, go to the gym, go on a talk show, or go sightseeing, where they've just taken the game models and stuck a JPEG in front of them. But hey, at the very least you can take a picture with your favourite AEW wrestler. That's going straight in the photo album. Other than Road to Elite, there's a few minigames you can play if you're a fan of Mario Party, which I guess would be kind of fun with a few friends, but I don't have any. And lastly, the creation mode has been fucking butchered, giving you fuck all options to actually make the wrestler you want, so I just made a human Giga Chad. As I keep saying, the gameplay is definitely Fight Forever's strong point, but unfortunately everything else lets it down.
It's paint job, baby!
Which was extremely evident when it came to this game's reception. The game received pretty mixed reviews to say the least. Some people enjoyed the gameplay enough to recommend it, while others were a little bit more critical. Like right now, the most helpful review on Steam recommends the game, saying, "Forgot to refund and played more than 2 hours by accident." 7.5 out of 10. How is that helpful? From the vast majority of review sites, Fight Forever mostly got 6 out of 10s, with many people praising aspects like its arcadey gameplay and in particular its hardcore match types, with someone else on Steam recommending it because you can feed opponents thumbtacks. While aspects like the customization drew major criticism, with Game Informer going as far to say it's the game's biggest letdown. Road to Elite was also just as divisive.
That is one big pile of shit.
Some people enjoyed its humour and pacing, while others, like IGN, thought the mode was underwritten, going on to say there was a bunch of potential potential in this mode, but it goes unrealised. Perhaps the biggest thing I noticed while going through reviews was that so many people took issue with the game being AAA price when it had so little content in the first place, with it absolutely not being worth my 50 Great British Pounds. However, Fight Forever wasn't dead yet, because AEW still had one ace left up their sleeve. Have you ever heard of Fortnite?
Reach for the sky!
Stadium Stampede was released 2 months after Fight Forever came out on August 24th, being AEW's attempt to add a Battle Royale style mode to their game which would hopefully boost the player count, dumping 30 wrestlers into a stadium, giving them various weapons to hit each other with, and the last wrestler standing wins. Now I've played a few games of this, and I even got my first win while playing as CM Punk, ironically enough.
One person in particular was an asshole.
So I guess you could say I'm somewhat of a veteran here, and in all honesty, Stadium Stampede is kinda boring. It's just not that fun or challenging to play, especially considering there's so little people left actually playing this game, to the point that in each match there's probably only around 8 real people, and then the rest are mindless bots, called Felix.
Soy boys, these pathetic beta males.
As of today, Fight Forever currently has a player count of around 16 concurrent players, which is about a 90% drop from when it initially launched, so I think it's pretty safe to say that this game died very quickly. The thing is, Fight Forever isn't a bad wrestling game, like there's so many other games much worse than this. However, after nearly 3 years of development and over $10 million going into it, you'd think Fight Forever would offer so much more than just some fun gameplay, and the declining player count reflects that. Despite everything though, this game still has so much potential, and I can only hope Ukes and AEW take this game, along with all the criticism it received, both bad and good, and come back even stronger next time.